Oil, a dark liquid pulled from deep beneath the earth. It does not shine like gold, and it cannot be eaten like grain. Yet for more than a century, oil has decided the fate of nations, shaped wars, built empires, destroyed economies, and rewritten global power. Every car you see, every plane in the sky, every factory humming, every plastic object you touch carries the fingerprint of oil. The modern world does not run on money alone, it runs on oil. And whoever controls oil controls influence, power, and survival. Before oil became king, the world ran on muscle, wind, wood, and coal. Human labor, animals, rivers, and steam powered early civilizations and industries. Coal fueled the first industrial revolution, but it was heavy, dirty, and limited. Everything changed when humans realized that oil contained far more energy packed into a smaller space and could be transported easily. That discovery quietly set the stage for the biggest economic transformation in human history. In the mid-19th century, oil was not drilled for cars or planes because those did not exist yet. It was drilled for light. Whale oil had been used for lamps, but whales were disappearing and prices were rising. In 1859, Edwin Drake drilled the first successful commercial oil well in Pennsylvania. At first, oil was refined into kerosene for lamps, but that single breakthrough unlocked something far bigger. An entirely new energy economy was born. As oil production increased, entrepreneurs rushed in. Refineries, pipelines, storage tanks, and distribution networks appeared. John D. Rockefeller built Standard Oil and transformed oil into an industrial empire. Through efficiency, control, and scale, he reduced costs and dominated markets. Oil became cheap, reliable, and everywhere. This was not just a business success, it was an economic revolution. Cheap energy meant factories could run longer, transportation could expand, and cities could grow faster than ever before. Then came the automobile. At the start of the 20th century, cars shifted oil from lighting to transportation. Gasoline replaced kerosene as the most valuable product. Roads expanded, suburbs grew, and personal mobility reshaped society. Oil demand exploded. Nations that had oil gained strategic importance. Nations that lacked it became dependent. World War I revealed oil's true power. Armies that once relied on horses now depended on trucks, tanks, ships, and aircraft. Oil was no longer just an economic resource, it was a military necessity. Control of oil fields, supply routes, and refineries became as important as control of land. After the war, governments understood a hard truth. Without oil, modern warfare and modern economies were impossible. Between the two world wars, oil shaped geopolitics. The Middle East, once ignored by global powers, suddenly became critical. Vast oil reserves were discovered in Persia, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait. Western companies and governments rushed in, securing concessions and influence. Borders were drawn, alliances were formed, and future conflicts were quietly planted. Oil wealth transformed desert regions into strategic centers of global attention. World War II proved again that oil wins wars. The Allies targeted refineries and fuel supplies. Germany and Japan struggled with shortages. The United States, with abundant oil, became an industrial superpower, producing fuel, weapons, and vehicles at unmatched scale. When the war ended, America held enormous economic leverage, not only because of money, but because of energy. After 1945, oil became the backbone of global economic growth. Factories expanded, trade exploded, and consumer culture spread. Plastics, fertilizers, chemicals, synthetic materials all came from oil. Agriculture became dependent on fuel and petrochemicals, increasing food production but also tying survival to energy prices. Oil powered the rebuilding of Europe and the rise of Japan. Economic growth and oil consumption moved together. But dependence came with risk. In 1973, oil-producing countries used oil as a political weapon. The oil embargo shocked the world. Prices surged, economies slowed, inflation soared, and lines formed at gas stations. For the first time, people realized how fragile modern life was. A decision made thousands of miles away could raise prices, empty shelves, and destabilize governments. From that moment, oil was no longer just a commodity. It was a geopolitical tool. Oil prices influence inflation, interest rates, and growth. Central banks watched oil markets closely. A spike in oil could trigger recession. A collapse could destroy oil-dependent economies. Countries rich in oil experienced rapid growth, but also corruption, inequality, and instability. This became known as the resource curse. Oil wealth reshaped entire nations. Some used it to build infrastructure, education, and sovereign wealth funds. Others wasted it on conflict and mismanagement. The same resource created prosperity in one place and poverty in another. Oil money could strengthen a state or hollow it out, depending on governance. Financial markets turned oil into a traded asset. Futures contracts, speculation, and global pricing linked oil to currencies, stock markets, and debt. A change in oil prices could move global markets in seconds. Oil exporting countries earned massive revenues during booms and faced crisis during crashes. Importing countries struggled with trade deficits and inflation when prices rose. In the 21st century, oil continued to dominate, but cracks began to show. Environmental damage, climate change, and pollution raised questions. Renewable energy technologies advanced. Electric vehicles challenged gasoline demand. Yet oil remained deeply embedded in the global system. Even green technologies relied on oil-based supply chains. Recent decades have shown oil's double edge clearly. High prices bring revenue, but also inflation. Low prices help consumers, but devastate producers. Conflicts in oil regions still ripple through global markets. Strategic reserves, pipelines, sanctions, and alliances revolve around energy security. Oil shaped globalization by making transport cheap and trade massive. It allowed goods to move across oceans at low cost. It concentrated power in multinational corporations and exporting states. It created modern living standards, but also locked economies into carbon dependence. The story of oil is not finished. It is a story of progress and destruction, wealth and war, innovation and exploitation. Oil built the modern economy, but it also exposed its vulnerability. A single resource became the foundation of global civilization. In the end, oil's greatest influence may not be economic alone. It taught humanity a lesson. Energy is power. Dependence creates risk, and the choices societies make about resources shape their future. The history of oil is the history of modern civilization itself, and as the world slowly searches for alternatives, the shadow of oil still follows every market, every nation, and every life.